Hello and welcome back to the Anaheim Convention Center at Blizzcon here for the HGC Finals 2017. The story has been nothing but clean sweeps so far. Let me give you the rundown. Some incredible matches. MVP Black with a 2-0 victory over Team Freedom, followed by Team Expert in what can only be described as an upset 2-0 victory over Team Dignitas, ending their run in this tournament in the quarterfinals. We've got 2 more matchups to go, though. How are you guys feeling out there in the house? Fantastic. It is an honor to be with you. As I said before, my name is Kevin. We've got so much more for you today. Up next, EU's Fnatic versus North America's Tempo Storm. Let's hear it for these teams. Right now, let's head over to Kai Lars and our experts to get this match started.
That's right. Thank you very much, Kevin. Time to have EU versus NA. That's what we all like to see here at the HGC Finals for the round of 8. To my left-hand side, I have Skimmy, I have Wolf, I have Grubby. Joining me along for the ride here. So far, 2 series down, 2 2-0s, but very contrasting ways we actually got there, right, Skimmy?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen probably the biggest upset, obviously, was the series we just had on screen before. It feels very critical and very dismissive, but, I mean, up against an opponent like MVP Black, very tough to try and take them down. I said they needed to try and bring a different angle, a different approach. It didn't happen to be enough, but obviously they put in a fantastic performance. This one, Twitch chat, if you've been ready for those memes, now's the time to get ready about it to start posting.
Yeah, for me, I was really excited to see Team Expert take down Dignitas.
Right.
And, you know, in a best of 3 like this, when you're in front of a crowd, you're playing when all the stakes are right there out on the table, to take a best of 3, they're ahead in that second game. But that's the nature of a competition like this. Anyone could come back, and we saw that happen.
Well, let's check in with the bracket, see exactly what has happened so far, as well as what's to come here for the HGC 2017 Finals. And Grubby, as we were just talking about, those 2-0s, very, very different in nature.
Yeah, one of them absolutely an expected situation, with MVP Black doing what is expected of them. Freedom improved a lot, but they were not ready to face MVP Black. Then Team Dignitas and Expert, huge shocker. I mean, if you just tuned in, that score is absolutely correct. Now, no one is selling Expert short, but Dignitas at tournaments at LAN has kind of become a thing, and to go out here 0-2 definitely was a surprise, a very welcome one, because, you know, it's a meritocracy.
Yep.
Expert has the merits to make it on.
They definitely do. And now our next fixture coming up is Fnatic, our current reigning world champions, going up against Tempo Storm, who on the international stage haven't had, you know, too much success at all. So this is going to be a mountain to climb for them, Grubby, for Tempo Storm to try and vanquish the reigning champions.
Yeah, we don't always see Tempo advance to the second stage of these big international tournaments. And now they have. They did so with a 4-3 score. So it's about the narrowest that you can do it with, pretty much almost. And so Tempo Storm is here, and I think they can be glad that they made top 8. But humankind knows no end of greed. I mean, everyone always wants more, and now that they're here, even if this was like, oh yeah, we hope we're at least top 8, they want more now, but they're against Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think that the big story of Tempo Storm in the original group stage is they just got by the skin of their teeth. They're using no range DPS, using these Kerrigan compositions. They showed a lot of the strategies they had prepared. We talked about in the first group stage how they showed a lot of cards. Fnatic has now seen all of those, so they're going to have to play a little bit differently. If they play the same style they showed before, Fnatic was definitely going to have the answer.
I mean, Fnatic themselves didn't actually reveal anything. If anything, they went back and revealed, or re-revealed, so to speak, a mid-season brawl meta with the single support in Brightwing. So they're coming into this one saying, we've seen what you have. We want you to play that Kerrigan comp. Please, absolutely, bring that one to us, and we'll show you how to dismantle it, because obviously other teams are having a bit of a hard time dealing with the Kerrigan aggro.
Well, of course, we're about to begin our next best of 3 here. So it's EU going up against NA here, as Tempo Storm is hopeful about their chances against the world champions.
Last year, I got to play at Blizzcon with actually the same exact roster. We got taken out, unfortunately, by PBA, Please Buff Arthas, and that really crushed us. But hopefully this year we can make a longer run.
our first matchup against Fnatic is probably pretty hype. We lost to them at mid-season brawl pretty heavily, but I think we're a lot stronger as a team now.
Fnatic is a really formidable opponent, but I would say that throughout the entire year, this is probably the weakest that they've looked. And because the format is in a best of 3 plus RNG, we can maybe take 2 quick wins off them.
Being able to play in front of just the NA home crowd it's just an amazing thing. We haven't played an international tournament in NA this year yet. We've been in Europe basically the whole time, so having this going our way is just going to be amazing.
There's no second chances. In the group stages, you can afford to lose once, and then you'll fall down to a lower bracket. But at BlizzCon, there's no lower bracket. So if you can take out a team in the best of 3, they're out forever.
First of all, we have to be really careful going in at BO3 in the quarters versus Tempo, because I think they'll prepare some really niche stuff. So I think going up against Tempo Storm, we should have a fairly easy time. But this time around, I wouldn't count any team out, because we're not in our final form. We're kind of, slumped. As well as just the competition throughout the top 8 right now, it's going to be pretty stacked. I feel there's actually a decent top 8 at this tournament. So.
Yeah, I think Tempo is probably the weakest team in the top 8 right now. Before I thought Freedom was the weakest team, but after scrimming and playing versus them in the tournament, I think Tempo took their slot. It's easier to prepare, and for the first matchup we can prepare for 1 week. So that's scary for us as well, because Tempo can also prepare for us for 1 week in a best of 3.
I think this year, you can't even count NA out as you usually do, because I think the competition it's just straight up stacked. We have a good top 8, so it's really good for the scene, for the Heroes Esport, which I'm actually really thrilled about. But you don't want to lose to NA. That's just the way it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, help me introduce a familiar name in esports and here in North America. It is Tempo Storm! And their opponents in the blue corner, it's Sweden's Fnatic! Captains, please come center stage and shake hands. Gentlemen, good luck. May the best team win. Over to you, Kylaris.
Quacknex bringing out the dabs here on a very intense moment for the stage, as the Tempo Storm boys have the fury of the crowd behind them, and that was no pun intended at all going into this one. It seems like for a Tempo Storm, they're going to try and rally off the back of this crowd here, and it's going to be very, very important for them to, I think, do something with a bit of flair, try and almost recreate not entirely what happened in the group stage, but kind of capture lightning in a bottle once again, going up against the world champions.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Som is always the guy who's going to hold this team together. He's going to have these tough calls in the draft. He's going to play that Kerrigan, and the crowd's going to get behind him. But if he falls behind, if Fnatic takes the first game, for example, I mean, we've seen this crowd has been behind Fnatic before.
Yeah, I mean, Tempo has a lot going for them. They have these special picks, Kerrigan and Kel'Thuzad, debuted both by Tempo Storm. They've got the crowd. They have essentially no pressure. I mean, you put pressure on yourself, but no one expects them to win here. And yet, they're going up against Fnatic. So there is a lot working for them, and that might make this a really cool match.
We can continue the discussion in a moment, but of course we'll check in with the global cheer bar to see exactly what has gone on so far. And we've surpassed 27 million in the last few minutes. So congratulations, everyone, as we continue on forward down the line. So keep cheering for these teams. Cheer for Fnatic, cheer for Tempo Storm, and it will be a good time. Skimmy, your thoughts going into this match?
I mean, slump or no slump for Fnatic, the record really for this year speaks for itself. Tempo Storm are being hungry to try and get into that sort of championship spot, have some silverware to really sort of show what this year could have come to. They've always come to these big international tournaments with a lot of fans, with a lot of love behind them, but it just doesn't seem to be enough to give them that steam, that edge over their opponent. Fnatic, they have that silverware. They are the reigning world champions. Another big favourite, much the same as MVP Black, to take out Blizzcon this year.
Well, we're going to find out what battleground we're going to here as we have our first game almost ready, and we will be having Tempo Storm take us to Towers of Doom.
All right, so Towers of Doom, we already saw a really exciting match on that one. So Tempo, you have to imagine, has brought a strategy prepared for this map, very rarely seen hit first. So excited to see how this one's going to pan out. And as we've seen already, it doesn't always matter how ahead you get early. If you can, in the late game, make those rotations, take those bell towers control.
One of the cool things here is that Tempo Storm has picked 5 different maps so far, more than pretty much almost anyone else in the tournament. And all 5 of those maps, there was only 1 repeat, so 4 different ones.
Yeah.
Towers of Doom wasn't one of them. So them picking this one is showing something that they haven't shown yet, and they've already shown a lot.
And to further that point even more, during Phase 2, they played it 9 times with a 33% win rate. So this is something new, this is something different. This is them coming to Fnatic and saying, look, we've got something prepared.
All right, let's get into it then. Game number 1, the draft begins here. Europe goes up against North America. Fnatic goes up against Tempo Storm.
Now, Fnatic, they've played 5 maps so far in the HGC finals group stages. 5 first ban Tassadar. They're not looking to break that streak yet, apparently.
No, and we knew the Abathur pick was going to be a very likely one, very heavily banned on this map. Was picked when Expert had Medivh banned against them instead. It was actually picked up by Dignitas in that last series. So, you know, a go-to pick here. We'll see if the Leoric comes up down the line here. Daka will be obviously the strong force in that top lane, trying to push, control the bell towers, and it feels like it's been a while since we've seen Tempo Storm go down such a normal pathway here into a macro-based draft.
A lot of different teams also been saying that Brightwing is the better version of Dahaka, so to speak, in terms of provides more utility, doesn't give too much away, gives you that anti-dive, so to speak, which is, for the most part, how this meta has really evolved, especially with the likes of Muradin jumping in, got people to back him up, and speak of, and Muradin and Karazim are going to be the first to really back up and bolster what this Abathur can bring.
Now, in terms of Tempo Storm's play in the group stage, we mentioned those Kerrigan and Kel'Thuzad outliers in the final picks, but they've also leaned very heavily on Malthael play. They've liked Uther, and they started a bunch of their drafts with Malthael. I feel like Tempo Storm is continuing to rediscover themselves, to find out their identity, and to throw curveballs on the way of Fnatic.
That's a really good point, especially considering, again, this is arguably their hardest opponent, or one of them, of course, in the entire tournament. So you've got to mix it. You've got to do something.
Yeah, I completely agree. And now they've gone down this Dahaka path of trying to throw that curveball, but they do have this really strong Abathur comp against them already. We know Abathur can work so well with the Muradin, can work so well with the Karazim. Here's the Leoric ban. We've seen Leoric paired with Abathur so much throughout this tournament, especially in opening week. So just understanding Fnatic's in-game plan there in the top lane, removing him away, removing that bell tower control. Sure, Abathur can push strong, but not as strong as a Leoric.
Second ban for Fnatic has often been different. Dahaka and Arthas, Sonya, Chromie, Abathur, pretty much whatever the situation comes down to. So no real trend there. It's really that Tassadar first ban that is consistent.
I think, are they slowly pushing them down the... If they ban ECC, they've taken Muradin. It's something like a Garrosh, a potential choice for Tempo Storm, but at the same time, they've already picked heroes that are pretty good against like Garrosh combinations.
Exactly. Muradin and Karazim can jump away from a Garrosh toss. Of course, partially this is counterplayed by Taunt of Garrosh, so that's still an option. But this ETC ban, and we don't know that they're going to do it yet. They still have a few seconds, but that is a warrior choke here. And I feel like we saw this in the last series a little bit by Expert, but they didn't end up going through with it in this pick rotation. They took the Varian. We talked much about it. Now let's see what Tempo Storm does here.
Yeah, a big question would be, will the Johanna pick come into favor here, depending on what DPS Fnatic does decide to take? I think it can be a strong choice as well. Strong wave clear, good control of the pumpkin camps, for example, the sappers, something that can slow that down. I like the Johanna pick a lot. I think it's safer, though, to hold that as your last pick here. Wait and see that DPS. Obviously, Karzim and any basically auto-attack Abathur hat target will fall to those blinds from Johanna, but I think wait and see. I think you want to just hold that warrior pick for last here.
I feel like Temperstorm must pick Rhaegar here. He does so well at the Sapper camp control. He hasn't been picked yet. He's the #1 support of the tournament, and it is going to be that Garrosh.
So bringing it in here, and, you know, obviously there's two sides to the coin of the Garrosh. Against something like a Karazim, aggressive play can be punished from a Muradin Dwarf Toss inwards, where he doesn't have that anymore, has it on cooldown. Karazim, for example, not going to be as strong in the early game to get picks, for example, but can be a very strong defensive tool with the taunt you were talking about, with the defensive tosses you can see. So very strong here regardless, but taking this earlier, saving that last pick for flex.
Interesting flow of the draft, though, overall, Skimmy. If we anticipate it, then both of these teams have to anticipate how this is shaped up.
Yeah, I mean, for the last few minutes, I've just been looking at these bans, trying to sort of like read into the minds as to why these guys have gone this sort of direction. You see the Leoric, obviously a bully to deal with, especially when you got the Abathur hat really patching that lane to make it favorable for him in the early game, where he has now been severely impacted. ETC really suggesting to me you can play as that global dive with the stage dive, yet you can go for the power slide. You can then obviously overlap CC or that dive target. Garrosh not going to function the same way, but you will have that flip into Lick, which between Garrosh and Dahaka allows you to have a big window of CC, the Earthplane Totem, and Greymane to execute on that. But that's the final pick, Li Ming and Arthas. I actually quite like this.
Yeah, so it's interesting. They don't try to counter and kill the Garrosh with percentage-based damage. I feel like they're going to try, Fnatic is going to try to mostly bypass Garrosh, try to cleanse away whatever he does, jump away Li Ming, Karazim, Muradin, they have a jump, and Arthas, he usually doesn't care. You know, he turns on his ult, he turns on Icebound. So they're going to completely go around him. So what Temperstorm needs is more battlefield control. So far, they have a few slows, but they need someone other than Garrosh, preferably either a warrior or a support with utility, to stop the onslaught of Fnatic.
I'm thinking there's two different options to consider right now. It's either Brightwing or the Lucio, as you described, gives them that mobility, gives them that ability to negate, for the most part, what Arthas can do with his Frozen Tempest. And then Fnatic are coming at you full steam ahead, then Temperstorm can respond in time. Their composition would benefit. I mean...
Yeah.
But you also need wave clear against Abathur. There's a lot of elements here.
There certainly are. I think they're so heavily reliant on the Dahaka. I like the Lucio pick a lot because it will give them a lot of sustain, but it's going to be Medivh. So Temperstorm, again, just showing us out-of-the-box drafts here. And let's see how this one pans out, guys, because, I mean, sure, you have the extra protection for Greymane. He can do a lot of damage. If the shields are the protection there, the Force of Will is timed correctly against Li Ming, you can mitigate a ton of that burst damage, and it's a different way of out-sustaining the fight.
I mean, you make the argument for Lucio with the mobility. The same thing can also apply with Medivh with the portals. You're looking to try and jump onto that target. Yeah, you might think that you're safe in that backline, but we are bypassing, once again, that Frozen Tempest. If you can actually get to us, potentially you can land a Howling Blast where that portal is, but those are niche conditions, niche windows where it might obviously always line up, Grubby.
There's one more question to be answered in terms of Medivh. Force of Will, great against Ming. Not so much against the other four, by the way. They have a very sustained source of damage, so Force of Will doesn't do well there. I was thinking maybe Medivh, for one reason and one reason alone, is heroic. Now, both are viable options here. We always see Leyline Seal, but I could see maybe a Polymorph coming out, and this isn't something I've seen in scrims. I'm completely fishing in the dark here. But Polymorph against such a team with Karazim, who needs proximity to heal, double warrior, there is an option.
Yeah, and we're talking about double warrior with Arthas hats, Abathur hats as well. So you have to be up there in the fray, and the melee Karazim needs to be there. So I think Polybomb and Leyline Seal both kind of disrupt that.
Both do, yes.
Right. And down the line, something like Hive Mind could be heavily countered by the idea of a Polybomb. But anyway, that's a long way down the line.
Yeah.
We are almost ready now to head into game number 1. So let's go over to our commentary team to bring you Fnatic going up against Temperstorm.
Thank you, Calaris. We've got Gillian Dredd here for North America versus EU. And Dredd, The wall has been built of the Korean and European teams here in the quarterfinals. Can North America bust through?
It's going to be hard, but you know, something inside of me, my North American pride, it cannot let up hope here. I believe that Tempo Storm and the rest of North America that is still remaining has a shot. As long as we come at the game with a different angle, catch Fnatic maybe off guard.
Yeah, anything can happen in a best of 3, as we just saw in the last series.
Yeah, even Quackness kind of admitting, you know, can't count anybody out in this type of tournament format. Everyone has the opportunity. So you know Fnatic is not letting up lightly here versus Tempo.
Well, we are ready for game 1 of this best of 3 North America. Tempo Storm taking on Europe with Fnatic. Let's get inside of Towers of Doom.
Starting off in the blue is your defending world champions. We have Wubby on the Arthas, Schwimpy playing Abathur, Breeze playing the Murden, Karazim played by Smexy, and Quacknix on that Li Ming. Let's hear it for Fnatic.
And in the red, looking to live up to the legacies of old North America, Caterpillar playing Dahaka, Cothenluck on Greymane, Fury on his Garrosh, Psalm playing Medivh, and June playing Rhaegar. Let's hear it for Tempo Storm!
The crowd rearing here for North America. That is something that you know Tempo Storm is going to be relying on here in this game. But one other element with their composition, with the variable of Medivh in this draft, I think Psalm is going to have to play out of his mind if Tempo Storm is going to take this map.
Well, you know what, Dreadnought? Tempo Storm started off slowly in the group stage, as they often do at events, but they were able to overcome CE, and a lot of that came down to Psalm and his playmaking. Once they put him on heroes like Kerrigan, like his Kel'Thuzad, where he could dictate the fights. He could say, here, take this person down right now. That's when things worked for Tempo Storm, and he could do that with the Leyline Seal.
Yeah, the Leyline Seal is a big playmaker, but we also have to remember the fact that Fnatic is playing in a region with Team Expert. ADRD, they know how to deal with the Medivh. They know how to play around this very unique strategy. So it's just, can Tempo Storm use the innovation, the adjustments of picking themselves up this Medivh playstyle and overcome the Titan known as Fnatic?
Fnatic, the Titans, the mid-season brawl winners, but also struggling in the group stage quite a lot statistically. The worst of the 3 European teams, and we've already seen one fall, Team Dignitas. June dropping the sprays, making sure he stays alive. So crucial that Tempo Storm doesn't fall behind Fnatic. Fnatic are the kind of team, especially on these large battlegrounds, where they're able to set up so many options in lanes with things like mercenary camps, with lane pushes, so that they can either set up for picks with some brush ganks, or even just be able to siege down structures really quickly. And that only gets worse and elevated the later into the game we go with Abathur.
That was exactly what I was going to say. Abathur is something we always have to be considering. But as we see, both of the teams perfectly timing this bottom sapper camp, as we're going to have our very first altar phase. 24 seconds out. I don't expect any advantage or too big of a clash here towards those sappers. It's just who is going to have the advantageous positioning on those top altars.
Well, both teams have a global, but it's Abathur on the top, and that can be risky to send up there to pick up an altar. So far, Haka not stalking in. He wants to make sure that he can get all of the minions in that wave and then move down to get the safe altar before coming in for the power play with Tempo Storm. Medivh starting to move down, as is Muradin.
Tempo Storm might be able to get away with this just because of that Abathur weak early game. Nice stun interrupt there, allowing Fury not to be able to rake the members of Fnatic up, but that bottom altar here was actually not picked up there. That was a great delay as well. Abathur's capturing the top left-hand side, while the top right we see Fnatic going in, and we're actually going to see the Medivh collapse.
Yeah, it was excellent to see that Arthas stopped so that Abathur could feel free to get that top altar, but hasn't gotten that in the top just yet. They're pushing to Haka clear back, but Fnatic in the mid. We're able to zone. Arthas goes down. First blood claimed by Tempo Storm, but they lose 2 of the altars.
So the question is the trade of that 1 kill worth some of the shots here for the members of Tempo Storm? And that is yet to be determined. We have to see if Tempo Storm can keep this experience advantage. It is a must, again, on that note of an Abathur on Towers of Doom. Another note of what Tempo has to be considering now with this pressure onto the bottom lane is you know that they do not want to lose this bottom altar. We have seen team after team use the Abathur, use the protection towards that bottom lane, and really just force the hand of the opponent left and right.
Yeah, that was a moment that Fnatic lost. The only game that they lost in the group stage to Team Freedom is because of that constant bottom lane pressure. And that is something that you can overcome. Expert did it versus Dignitas, but it requires perfect play at every single juncture of the game, and that's not something that Tempo Storm wants to get into a position versus a Titan like Fnatic.
I got to appreciate the fact that Tempo Storm has managed to accumulate a half-level lead here. Again, it is a bit of the Abathur problem with the composition here for the members of Fnatic, but Fnatic is known as one of the best macro teams in the world. And though Tempo Storm, is known as the macro of North America, I did not expect them to be able to achieve these kind of, early advantages just through good rotations.
Yeah, it's very important that Tempo Storm does that. Fnatic is a good macro team, but generally they really come online at 10 always when they get their heroic abilities. They are more patient since they are against these very aggressive teams in the region, teams like Team Dignitas and Expert. Early aggression, trying to get the besting of Fnatic, since Fnatic normally do just spiral out of control in the mid to late game. So it's awesome for Tempo Storm here, especially since they're the North American team, one of two that remain here at the HGC Finals.
Yeah, especially after watching what we saw between Team Freedom and MVP Black, you know that these teams here want to claim one for their own. You even heard Cattle talking about the fact that this is one of the few North American lands that they're going to get, and they want to provide. But if they're going to do so, it's going to have to start here with that bottom altar.
Yeah, and on the subject of North America, all year long we've heard about NA teams wanting to be able to establish their own meta, things that NA is known for. And we've seen sometimes where that has worked for NA in this event. Things like Roll20 on Warhead Junction versus Tempest, or even Team Freedom versus Fnatic on this very map. Tempo Storm now has the flip from Fury, pulled back in on Breeze. He takes the damage, but he's still living.
It's going to be the Dwarf Toss down. The members of Tempo Storm looking to get aggressive. Cattle even coming in with a brush stock. Yet to see the drag. Breeze goes down. Tempo Storm find a way to connect there with the kills. June's going to start the channel, and it looks like Tempo Storm find themselves a few shots.
Yeah, Fnatic don't want to give anything else to Tempo Storm. Tempo are already getting ahead in experience. They did at least bring down Dahaka for the full 5-man engage to take out Breeze. So that's a breath of fresh air for Fnatic that they have Abathur still soaking up in the top lane the whole time. But this is a best of 3. Anything can happen, and Tempo Storm are off to a great start on making that anything maybe be a win for North America.
Oftentimes we see ourselves, especially with Murden, he's able to get that Dwarf Toss out, or if he goes in with that initiation, it's very unlikely that he is going to be the problem. But consider the elements of the composition that we see out of Tempo between, the flip of Garrosh, the pull back of Garrosh, and more importantly, that portal. There is no way a Murden should be able to make it out of those situations. So we know, looking forward here, Breeze has got to second guess his positioning a little bit more than maybe you normally would if you're a Murden, excuse me.
Yeah, it's something that Justing from Roll20 did a great job with his Garrosh during the group stage, and that's the control of the enemy warrior. Breeze has to be thinking that, even though he has the Abathur symbiote, gives him a little extra help. Things like Palm, that will be a different factor once we get to 10 for Fnatic. But speaking of 10, Tempo Storm are well on their way to heroic abilities. Let's see what they grab.
On the World of Masters touch here for Psalm, after we've had a couple of skirmishes, he's only rounded 9. And we heard Grubby hypothesizing, would it in fact be the Polybomb? And North America says yes.
Yes, it is Polybomb Warlord's Challenge. No go for the throat. We've got Cursed Bullet here. So it does seem like the target is still going to be Breeze from Fnatic. Being able to get that chunk of 35% of your health, and then having the polymorph there, giving a little extra time where he can't jump away. You can keep that control there and then take him down, takes out the frontliner, and stops Fnatic from being able to be as aggressive in the comps.
We should highlight the fact that both of the warriors, though, on Fnatic's composition have self-sustained. At post 13, Murden is going to be very, very comfortable with taking that amount of damage, and if they do not succeed in that one shot, one kill that we see, and the idea here from Tempo Storm, I think it is very likely Fnatic looks at the team fight and goes, this thing is done. We can turn this around. You failed this initiation.
Yeah, Icebound Fortitude may be a thorn in the sides of Tempo Storm if they want to change up and try to go after Arthas instead. But we've got 2 more altars, and it looks like a flat trade between the 2 teams as we continue to feel things out in game 1 of this best of 3.
Neither team really wanted to get, too very aggressive. The few moments that we have seen Fnatic try and posture up, Tempo has done a great job of getting that punishment outward. But also, you said it before, Fnatic is a team that loves to kind of just put you in lose-lose scenarios up until they get their 10s, they get their heroics, and then they say, all right, time to get the trade. We can win these type of team fights.
Yeah, they're like a rattlesnake. They will also just kind of stay coiled, manipulate the map as best they can, but if you force them, they will strike. Think about the way they executed in Game 3 versus Freedom. They were able to use the Gorge of Stitches and take out even a D.Va, who you think is going to be the safe one versus a Stitches Gorge.
No, we saw a lot of D.Vas.
Not so much.
She was really struggling in North America, and just D.Va in general throughout all of the HGC finals. It's been really awesome to see the kind of development and strategy to be able to deal with one of our newer heroes here. But Tempo Storm looking to escort these bottom sappers in. It doesn't look like he's going to get too much damage. Not enough threat here without the Dahaka committing down to the bottom lane.
Yeah, Caterpillar on that Dahaka has continued to put the pressure onto both mid and top lanes, trying to get the double soak, trying to keep Abathur at bay, because a lot of times when you have these Abathur compositions, you can put too much focus in trying to get picks, trying to get kills in the bottom lane, and as a result from that, once the team with the Abathur wins a decisive team fight, they've whittled down the other two belt towers so much that you can quickly make this gigantic play and take down the forts at once, and then that's an irrecoverable place for any team trying to go up against that. So Tempo Storm with their Dahaka making sure to mitigate that as best they can.
And they have done an effective job of trying to get that early game advantage. That is something I've been trying to highlight here for Tempo Storm. But now it's kind of hitting the breaking point of, was it enough for them? With the Abathur being able to get the side soak, yes, Dahaka will be there to be able to try and match, trade into the experienced Avino, but eventually he has to brush talk in. He has to look to join that fight. And we can assume that Fnatic will find a way to eke themselves ahead over Tempo Storm and experience. I mean, it legitimately is the reason they have kind of climbed to the top of international performers here, is because they're so good at manipulating the map, soaking every ounce of experience at their disposal.
Well, this is the best chance for Fnatic to start to push those lanes effectively. There's only one altar here, and they should be able to poke for a long time. They have things like Li Ming with those skill shots. Breeze can go in, do a lot of damage, and then hopefully get out, although you don't know for sure with a Garrosh. Tempo Storm are looking to blow the map open right here, right now with a fight, and until they get that, until they find a person, they are not bringing Dahaka down, not for anything.
Not for anything. They're going to try and keep this advantage. Howling Blast is going to push June off here on that bottom altar. Tempo Storm and French just kind of sharking around here, but a lot of teams just posturing up. I'm surprised at the lack of aggression out of Tempo Storm into the early game, and now the Fnatics come online with their heroics. They're still, taking a minute here, a hot minute.
They're being safe. It's a best of 3, and they just saw Dignitas lose to Team Expert in that best of 3, a team that they were their Achilles heel. But Tempo Storm has found the place to go in for the fight. They take down Arthas.
Great porta play coming out from Tempo Storm, and they're not done yet. Smex throwing out the Fists of Fury there with his 13 talent tier adjustment. 22 seconds before they're out of an Arthas, but the clone here, Schwimpy, is enough to get a deterrent. Lands a Howling Blast.
That was a big Howling Blast too, but Tempo Storm rallied, took out the clone, and now things are better. They've dealt with both one Arthas and the second Arthas, and now as long as they can block the skill shot from Li Ming, Tempo Storm will walk away with another altar.
Tempo Storm able to find themselves the first lead when it comes to the core HP here, and they found themselves experience on top of it. Tempo Storm is looking like they might be able to achieve that, what we always are afraid of with Abathur compositions, this late game experience just snowball that they are able to achieve for themselves. But look at this setup. The members of Tempo Storm, the minute the portal goes down, all right through it, and nothing left there for Wubby to make it out.
And that's what we were talking about with Som. He spotted somebody, and he put the portal down, and everyone followed suit. Something that we would say would be a play from Roll20, but Tempo Storm are showing that they can make the Medivh plays too. Speaking of Medivh,
Breeze, he's going to get this
Breeze
invade.
is going in.
Trying to get the aggression, wave of force, nice stun. Garrosh with a lot of armor. He's going to eat that force of will. The portal down for Tempo Storm. But nice cheeky play there from Fnatic. Finally, kind of bringing out the claws.
Yeah, and that's the place where Fnatic wanted to fight. So Tempo Storm will say, okay, fine, you just take these sappers. We will be okay. Tempo actually got them, so it was just Fnatic clearing it up. The bigger thing was that Fnatic didn't get any kills there and didn't stop the momentum swing that Tempo Storm is behind trying to get to level 16.
And because the map objective is very unlikely that it's going to spawn in a window where Fnatic can rely on that 16 talent here, I feel like that was a moment of a bit of desperation here from the members of Fnatic. A lot of harassment there going out from Schwimpy's clone. But just the fact that they wanted to get that fight pre-16, that was the goal, the intent here. And now they're going to, I thought immediately we'd see a follow-up on the Howling Blast. Now Fnatic is on full retreat, knowing Tempo Storm is rounding a major power spike.
Yeah, 16 is here. Dahaka starting to walk on down, making sure that he hides out of vision. There's a portal. Breeze seems again to be the target of Tempo Storm, but Fnatic will leave, just making sure that they can get to 16. The problem, Dreadnought, is it's the 5th altar phase, which means there are 3 altars about to spawn.
But, if they found themselves a Dahaka, Very nice job there. The 16 talents here paying off. Without that burrowing claws, there was going to be no chance we saw Cattle make it out. But Tempo Storm does have themselves a small window where they're going to have that 16 talents here over Fnatic. You can always assume Abathur will be able to aid and catch them up here. But if Tempo gets 2 of these altars, this might be a little bit too much for Fnatic to recover from.
It's starting to get scary for our European team. Down in the bottom, Dahaka channels. In the top, Rhaegar channels a straight switch of the top altars. But because the bottom, because of the 16, Tempo Storm climbs even further ahead on Towers of Doom.
We see the 13 talents here for Kharazim going into the damage focus, and totally understandable considering, you know, it's a double warrior, only a Li Ming backline. Wait a minute, Fnatic, they're going to go in. Breeze just blind Dwarf Toss over the wall. There's a flip from Fury. He's going to go ahead and use the taunt on the 3 members here. The Polybomb pulling them in, and they get the kill.
Breeze is gone. Robbie staying inside. He's got Army of the Dead right now. Except for healing went up, and Cattle goes in, drags him back, and upon this force, nobody blocking it. But they want this kill. They're still continuing on. In the back, though, the clone has to be dealt with. Tempo Storm making sure to deal with the clone. They don't buy off more than they can chew, and they're rewarded with a Breeze kill.
Tempo Storm is showing restraint, showing just calculated decision-making here over Fnatic, and I don't know, my mind is blown at this point. This is the 3rd seed in North America versus the defending world champions.
I want to take another look at that fight. We saw, again, Fnatic wanting to go in and Breeze the control there, throwing him up, dropping him down. Immediate polymorph after the fact, but it's this, that 3-man Warlords challenge, the control over Breeze. They almost got Wubby too, but thankfully he had Army of the Dead. But even still, Fnatic are falling farther and farther behind here, especially now that Tempo Storm gets a bell tower.
And you gotta appreciate Fury's hesitation there to keep his taunt as long as possible. Finds Wubby, flips him over, the damage. A lot of heals coming up from Wubby, the polymorph. He's gonna pull away, but no palm available once again from that brilliant adjustment here from Tempo.
And Smexy's not out of it either. Self Palms has the symbiote too, but Som says, what's up, Smexy? They catch up with the portal, and they'll kill Kharazim for a 7th kill.
Tempo Storm, 2-man advantage here over this next altar phase. June's gonna lock in 5 more shots on bottom. Garrosh starting his channel up. Tempo Storm, after we get over the 3rd altar phase, is going to find themselves 6 shots. A boss now? This is amazing. 2 shots away if they get this boss.
2 shots away from winning a game over Fnatic, the reigning mid-season Brawl champion. Fury's in danger, just buying some time though. Dodges the Storm Bolt with the Wave of Force, but eventually Garrosh does go down. Fnatic are able to get a kill, and it's desperately needed.
To be honest, that was such a worth call coming out from Fury to buy that much time. At this point, Tempo Storm has put Fnatic in such a risky position that they cannot make one mistake after that final boss. Everything is a win condition. Sappers, every altar is very likely to be into their favor. This is just astounding. So where can Fnatic get this recovery? 25 seconds in, looks like bottom bell tower is going to be the first pit stop.
Yeah, they'll get bottom bell tower, and that may be some time buying so that they can take back their own bell tower and then get a lead on the structures. This is a important juncture in Tempo Storm's play at this point, because yes, they are ahead. They have that 2 hit points away from being able to take the game, but in times past, in series past, Tempo Storm and losing somebody like Fury, they would fall apart with staggered deaths. So they have to not get to that point. They have to stay as safe as they can until they get to 20, but Fnatic, they need to use that, and they need to run with it. They got that bell tower. Now they have Sappers and Kharazim working on the bottom. They're going to try to push at every single angle to get some sort of leverage in this game.
And got to appreciate the rotations there for Fnatic. The fact that they converted this bottom bell tower means that they can safely only send the Kharazim, maximizing their resources elsewhere onto the map and showing why, again, they are such a brilliant, and dominant team here at the international stage. Tempo Storm, though, the 20 talent tier is here. We know that Fnatic is desperately just hoping that no altars come online, no win conditions are going to be forced. 28 seconds out is enough for them, so we are going to have ourselves a 5 versus 5, 20 versus 20.
So what do those 20s look like for Tempo Storm? Well, we do have the Titanic Might, so a double throw for Garrosh. Also Contagion, the grouping from Fnatic cannot be there, or you're going to have the group isolation, which is absolutely devastating for a fight. We'll see what Fnatic's about to pick up. 6 seconds until this altar spawns. We'll definitely let Tempo Storm get the better setup at what could be the final altar phase of this game.
And we have to highlight the fact that Glyph of Greater Polymorph Breeze, 3-man Dwarf Toss goes in. This taunt coming up from Fury onto 3 of the members. There's the ultimately mean they still have the clone. Ancestral does end up landing. Garrus is under a lot of pressure. He takes the portal right on out. Great shield coming out from Medivh. Tempo Storm, they hold their own, but Fnatic is winning this fight.
They are. The front wall stayed strong. Caterpillar came in. Cleansing touch as Smexy jumps in. We see Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm wants to go back in for this. They have this done. The palm is proc. Breeze is fine in the middle of all of the members of Tempo Storm who are healthy-ish. They're channeling.
They're channeling.
Wubby has to stop it.
If they get this channel, the game is over. Breeze ends up going down.
Muradin's gone. Som hits another polybomb. It's thrown in to grab Wubby. This is going to be Tempo Storm's game. Tempo Storm will win a game. Game 1 over Fnatic.
Tempo Storm bringing it here in game number 1. Swinging. I have no idea. You hear the crowd. USA.
I hear the crowd.
They are so behind Tempo Storm.
Tempo Storm is now one game win away of achieving an upset nobody ever believed in. Nobody would believe in. They're not done yet, but that is such a victory for our NA team.
Such a victory here for Tempo Storm. And as you said, though, it is not done yet. One creative strategy, catching off the members here of Fnatic off guard. And also, Grubby brought it up, that Fnatic was kind of riding the wave with their strategies. Maybe a small adjustment here and there, but we feel like we are yet to see what do they have in store for us here at the Blizzcon stage.
Well, let's see what the analysts think of game 1. Tempo Storm getting the win.
Are we in Upside Down land? Wait a minute. Did the planets align and we just saw Garrosh taunt into Polybomb absolutely ravage Fnatic?
The question is, can we really think here when your mind is blown?
It's tough to think, but I do think that going back to your prediction, Grubby, in draft about how this comp would function, how melee it is, how dive heavy it is, when you've got this Arthas, Muradin, Kharazim. We saw so many times not only was Wubby polybomb, but sometimes he had to avoid the polybomb, so couldn't get the value out of that Arthas there, and such a great pick here.
I mean, we cannot understate this. This is the single most amazing victory of a North American team against a European team. Just a match, you know, a single game in 2 years?
Basically forever. When Cloud9 won Blizzcon, they did so, of course, by beating Dignitas in the final.
Yes.
So that one really comes to mind, and that was 2 years ago.
And one of the guys that at the end was popping off because he was hyped was Som, who on the Medivh was playing a phenomenal game. And he's somebody that we definitely have to highlight throughout this tournament.
It's been so much we've seen from this player. The smile on his face.
He knew this result was going to happen.
The rage, you can feel it, but it's so focused, you know? And I feel like when we see this guy standing up and yelling and calling to his teammates, it's that hype that it brings. You can hear the crowd behind us very much hyped with him, and I feel like we have to. We look at these drafts and go, well, Som, it seemed like you want to play this hero, and they made it work. We're able to force this Kerrigan pick, but I think we got to start trusting this guy because it's working out.
Let's take a look at one of the coolest moments. We saw actually a lot of reservation on the side of Tempo Storm, where they didn't use everything they had immediately, but everything comes to a head here. Level 16 talents each. Now we're gonna look when Breeze is about to be jumping in like that. As we pause it for a sec, first of all, Goblin Sappers are going to be helping Tempo Storm here, so that helps a bit. Mistiming by Breeze. Now as we roll it forward, we're gonna see that Poly Bomb come out from Som. And look at that combination. It's going to be Polybomb together with Taunt. That means it's a guaranteed spread. Kharazim is also too close. We see the isolation coming out on Smexy. And then, of course, finally, the Arthas copy is going to be gunning for Medivh. And he will drive him into a corner. And that would make it kind of okay for Fnatic. But Som also gets away with that force of will, with the portals. And, I mean, I'm sure everyone will remember these polybombs for a long time to come because they were impactful like crazy.
It felt like, you know, we were going into the draft, we thought that they were trying to bait out the Garrosh after controlling Muradin, controlling ETC. but Fnatic got outsmarted with the polybomb.
We were asking a question like, why are they not going for Brightwing? Why go Brightwing if you can only polymorph one when you can polymorph 5 with the polybomb and Medivh, right? The same argument can be made for Varian. If I can taunt 1, I can taunt 5 with Garrosh. The synergy between these ultimates they have, you've got the Isolation, the Warlord's Challenge, the polybomb as we described. We talk about teams having very one-dimensional compositions where there is only one way for them to go in. Allows your opposition obviously make it quite easy to, I suppose, make a counterplay towards that. With this, there's just so many different threats. The way Fnatic are used to playing, they jump in. You can see, as you said, Breeze jumping onto that Sepper camp. He thinks he's got the fight where it looks so perfect. Tempo Storm go, no. This is how we like to do it back here in NA.
This is a thing that we just haven't really seen before, and it's again these strategies that are made by Tempo Storm. They're so strong, and you know when you look at this draft, no one would have predicted this exact combo. None of us at desk, sure, Grubby pointed out Polybomb quite strong here, but we didn't really think about exactly how that would work in combination with the Garrosh. And I think right now Fnatic's feeling pretty sheepish.
Yeah, definitely they are. Very well played there. As we head to a short break here and hear from our sponsor, but when we return, it's game number 2 between Fnatic and Tempo Storm.
The 2017 Heroes Global Championship Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2 on the way here in just a few moments' time. And currently, Tempo Storm leads 1-0 against the current reigning world champions. I'm sure a lot of people in the audience are looking for Tempo Storm to maybe take the 2-0. That, my friends, is a powerful tool. The amount of ambition and motivation behind the Tempo Storm group right now is going to be furious. It is going to be very, very deadly here going up against a team like Fnatic. Fnatic normally thrives off the crowd, but right now the crowd is pretty much against them.
I mean, usually Fnatic are those fan favorites, the childhood sweethearts from that region of Europe with the Swedish boy band, as we so call. But I mean, yeah, with the 3 North American teams making it here, the Blizzcon arena itself, obviously they're loving this. They're really behind them. Obviously, they make a quirky strat behind it. They bring it out.
Yeah.
I was critical of the Tales of Doom win rate on Phase 2. At 33%, they say, screw your stats. Watch this.
There's the potential for bracket magic here for Tempo Storm, Grubby.
How do you mean?
I mean, the Tempo Storm could quite easily take a 2-0 with the position that they're in currently.
Yeah, of course. They're 1-0 ahead. It's a match point for Fnatic here. And, you know, to find ourselves in this situation, we didn't expect to be here, but connecting the dots, let's take a look at the challenge for Fnatic. They're coming off of the win at the Western Clash number 2. They won the mid-season brawl. Where do you go when you're already on the summit of a mountain? You need to find a taller mountain to climb, but it's tough because you were the best already.
Yeah.
So going into a tournament like this, it is difficult to prepare, but of course they knew that. They had time to balance it themselves.
They had a pretty easy group going into this as well. So they didn't show very many strategies, but I think they kind of have had this slump coming into this tournament in terms of mentality, and they had an easier group. Most would consider this to be a fairly easy opponent for Fnatic. So exactly where is that motivation? And when they were able to defeat MVP Black, the crowd was cheering for them. Now this same crowd here is cheering against them, and it's got to feel like, you know, the tables are turned.
Let's find out which battleground we're going to next to see if Tempo Storm can do it here. As we are going to head, Fnatic is taking us to Cursed Hollow skimming.
Yeah, I really like this direction. I was going to say it's either between Cursed Hollow or Sky Temple, a map where a team like Fnatic, they are very macro-orientated. They can really flex that might, say, look, you had a very team fight orientated squad just before. We're not going to allow you to have that kind of same ability to set up the map that's going to promote that kind of style. We're going to Cursed Hollow. We'll rotate. We'll use globals. You'll never get that situation again.
All right, it's time for the second draft here. Tempo Storm currently leads 1-0 against the world champions here in the round of 8. And Grubby, I've got to ask, in the group stage, we saw Fnatic have a stumbling block, and then after that, go to the Stitches Kael'thas.
Yeah, Fnatic lost 1 map in the groups to Team Freedom, also from North America, also on Towers of Doom. They also ran a lot of single support Brightwing. Now, single support Kharazim, who didn't have cleanse. They're going to stick with their Tassadar ban, so that part has not been a kind of, let's say, smoke screen. But if Fnatic was ever thinking of possibly holding back strategies, going up against Tempo to safeguard their procession into the grand finals, that has evaporated entirely. They need to pull out all the stops here and take Tempo Storm fully seriously.
Yeah, I like this approach by Tempo Storm. They're taking the Dahaka that we saw in first rotation on the previous map as well. One of the reasons why Fnatic had to be so aggressive on Towers' Doom is because they fell behind early. Dahaka was able to do a lot in top and mid. Those lanes were always pushed. Forced aggressive play by Fnatic. Those aggressive invades, which is where those polybombs were quite strong, obviously. Defensively used there with the Warlord's challenge. So again, if they want to draft a style that can take the fight to Fnatic defensively, it looks like that's where the preparation is at right now.
And it's actually read into these bans themselves specifically. When Fnatic went up against Team Freedom in those group stages, they did it right wing. They had Falstead, they had Dahaka. You ban one, you take the other. You're very limiting that sort of that chokehold, so to speak, and that's going to get Fnatic in a bit of a situation where they need to think outside the box. They need to take this ETC, flex that potential to go for the stage dive.
Yeah, that first pick, Dahaka, for the reason you said, Skimmy, and for the reason of Caterpillar's prowess on that hero. Yeah. Seeing Caterpillar on Dahaka, it's been my favorite hero for him. He plays it so well, and we saw that in the last game. And if you can catch two flies with one net, then yeah, let's do it. Because Dahaka is such a big pick for Fnatic on maps like these.
Yeah, Muradin here coming in as well was, against them in the last set with a very different draft. I think this draft for Tempo Storm is based on camp clears quickly with the Greymane, the denial pick you talk about, the control of the top lane and globals. Wonder if we'll see Fnatic make a change here to try to go into like a false stat pick, go into that old style of control of lanes like we saw from them in the past, because if they try to just draft a team fighting comp again here, they don't have that same tool of Muradin they had last time, and I think they're going to get run around here by the Dahaka, the Brightwing removed. Where do they go to here for globals is a question. Or are they going to try to dominate the solo lane? That's something they can try to do, but Tempo Storm, I think, is very much ready for that possibility.
It's interesting, though, because if they are going to start banning out globals against themselves as they hover the Zabitha, it begs the question, after what just happened on Towers of Doom, you're going to a map which promotes that style of play, then you're choking that one out. You're thinking, why do we go sort of down this direction, so to speak?
Yeah. And let's say Fnatic picks up Falstad. Let's say they want that direction. Then Tempo Storm still has two picks to flex, a counter to Falstad. One of them has to be a support, and it won't be Brightwing, so it will not be someone that matches Falstad. But they still have the ability to pick an assassin that punishes Falstad. For example, Illidan, Genji, anytime Falstad is split pushing, they come in there and they can kill him. But they're actually, wow, they're going to remove it. So Fnatic is the most global team on maps like this, and Tempo completely countering that.
This is what I was going back to, man. I think Tempo Storm has figured this team out in a lot of ways. This is such a smart way to draft against Fnatic. You have camp control with Greymane. You've got Dahaka for control lanes. You've got Muradin for that top tier warrior. And what supports they pick, I feel like, are so much less important now that these globals are removed.
Yeah. It's exactly like that. I mean, Team Freedom against MVP Black, we're still banning supports. They banned supports for 50% of their bans, Team Freedom. But Tempo Storm has been very up and down. If you look at their bans in the group stage and now, it's whatever they feel fits the moment. They don't follow a pattern like, oh, let's always ban Tassadar first. So they're very unpredictable.
I actually really like the Falstad ban for the same reason that we know Sam plays the Zeratul. Zeratul being a fantastic pick against, really going to sort of bait out that global, bait out that Gus. But I think, given the way this draft is positioned, if they were the ones doing the second pick, they would have been able to keep that Zeratul as that final pocket pick, much the same as you try and hide a Cho'Gall, for instance. So I like the drafting. But this is the Anub'arak that has eluded us for such a long time, but was such a powerhouse if you date it back a couple of patches.
So this is cool, because we're looking at probably a single support comp for Tempo, and this is where Anub'arak does better. Interestingly as well, though, is that Anub'arak comes out against Greymane, who is sort of a counter against him. So somehow Fnatic is going to try to use all those stunts with Genji to get some serious kills.
I mean, arguably a counter against Genji as well. With dodge changes at level 7, Greymane can jump on and he can just choose between either Genji or the Anub'arak and say thank you very much.
Yeah, as long as they take the defensive engage, again, I think it's going to be, that's how they're going to win these fights. Just fight back, avoid these tanks directly. We'll see probably the Quicksilver Bullets taken at level 7. You have that poke type of Greymane that just eventually will wear these tanks down. They have Muradin here to slow down that dive, and I don't think this is going to be another Medivh pick, but it certainly could be, you know? I mean, it actually works out.
I'm actually looking at Lucio Medivh here. Lucio to block Dragon Blade spread damage, and then Medivh to block someone else. Would be possible. It's not going to be that, though. Limin comes out, one more support, and it's going to be Uther.
I was thinking at this stage you want some point control, because right now you got ETC, Anubrak, Genji. You got a lot of ideas on the side of Fnatic of looking. If you go for it, boss, we have a way of sitting on that, not necessarily needing the stage side. The mosh pit, obviously a big talking point there. Ling Ming is a good response for that with the wave of force. And Uther, you know, you can turn fight around with that divine shield.
Just as something slightly off tangent here, as we went into the first game, it was about 70% to 30% in the percentages for Fnatic.
Yeah.
Now, not so confident in Fnatic.
People are starting to believe. They're daring to hope again for not just Tempo Storm, but for North America in general. So that's very cool to see. And now the final pick, we can have that type of damage dealer again that punishes Uther. Uther, single target burst protect. Lunara Gul'dan would be very powerful picks for Fnatic.
I think Gul'dan is great here. You can poke the tribute channels as well. If you get safe enough positioning with the double tank, slow that down, because you're going to have a problem against that Ling Ming with that.
Probably going to be Quacknix, though, unless he flexes something like the Genji. So Lunara would be more likely, I think.
Karazim. So single DPS Genji here.
Yeah, that's unexpected, actually.
Huh.
What do you think, Grubby?
I mean, I've seen Fnatic play Lunara Genji so many times, so well. It's a comfort level. They're down 0-1. I truly expected it. I didn't even see this coming. And I'm still trying to figure out how exactly that works. Now, Schwimpy, he's like 16-1 on Genji recently in the last half year or so. So truly very threatening kind of Genji.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are ways to deal with this Genji, but they have double support. You know, Ling Ming not incredibly powerful against Genji if deflects are timed correctly, just like we saw with the protection coming in from Medivh earlier. That burst deterrent is there. But normally we see comps with the Genji like this that are more sustainable with something like a Morales, for example, or a Lucio. This healing, I'm a little bit worried.
Well, the thing is that they may flex as well, because it might be actually Shrimpy on the Karazim, as he's been quite prevalent in the past, or quite a while ago. But we saw something like the DPS Karazim from him way back when it wasn't really considered normal.
It's true. I do think Shrimpy is slightly better, in my personal opinion, on the Genji than Quacknix, but they can still make it work that way. But I have one major question for the team fights here. When Anubrak uses Cocoon on Uther and there is no support left, can the members of Tempo Storm, specifically Brightwing and Ling Ming, survive against a stage dive, mosh pit, or some Genji dive on them? And I'm afraid for Tempo Storm.
Gentlemen, we're almost ready to go in, but since it is such a severe situation now for the world champions, I want to get your predictions going into game 2. Short thoughts.
I think Fnatic did better for themselves in the draft. They have to show everything. They have to Cocoon engage, and to delete the target, I think they have the execution to do it. We might be looking at a third map.
Okay. I'm going to disagree. I think that if the positioning of Uther is good enough here with the double DPS comp on the side of Tempo Storm, they've shown good defensive engagement so far. I think we're going to see a 2-0 here for North America.
Yeah, I think execution really is the name of the game. We saw a composition coming out of Dignitas earlier today, which required all the stars to align, so to speak. You mentioned the point I wanted to bring up as well with the Cocoon. It has to find value. They have to commit. They have to get kills during that. Execution against Standard. It seems like Tempo Storm have got the answers. I'm going for Tempo Storm.
Oof. All right, let's get into it. Game number 2. Will Tempo Storm vanquish the world champions? We're about to find out.
We are almost ready for game 2. I'm excited. Dred's excited. I want to know, are you guys excited? I think they're excited.
I think they're pretty stoked, understandably so. I don't think anybody would have expected that this to be the outcome of game number 1 here. And after looking at the draft, it doesn't seem like we saw that, you know, the moment of Fnatic finally showing what they brought for Blizzcon. Yes, there are adjustments, but it doesn't seem to be that big of adjustments here, at least from my point of view.
Well, it better be, because they're down 1 game. Let's get into it. We are headed to Cursed Hollow for game 2, with Tempo Storm currently leading at 1-0 in this best of 3.
Down 1 game here is going to be the world champions. You have Anubrak, played by Breeze. Quacknix is going to be on that Genji. You know, Schwimpy breaking out the old school DPS Karazim. Wubby's going to be on the ETC, and Smex on the Rhaegar. Let's hear it for Fnatic!
And playing better than they have ever played at an international event. June playing Uther, Fury on Murden, Cottonlock playing Greymane, Psalm on Ling Ming, and finally Caterpillar playing Dahaka. Give it up for Tempo Storm! All right, right, Dread, I want to know what you think of the draft, because the double support Fnatic have finally been forced to make some adjustments to show all their cards.
You know, the Anubarak pick is the one thing to me that seems to be one of the weirdest ones. He has fallen out of flavor here. He's shown up here and there throughout the HGC finals, but in general, I'm just looking for the argument here for the Anubarak pick. Where's the Cocoon value going to go into? Yes, we talked about, you know, how it can affect the single support composition, but we've seen Anubarak come and go, even when single support was the only go-to strategy. So what is the thought process? Is it boss control? Is it, you know, a cheeky play elsewhere? Fnatic here is going to be looking to flaunt that.
And you know, part of that is that Li Ming became such a good counter to Cocoon, and Tempo Storm still falling back to that mid-season brawl meta, making sure to have Li Ming, who can bust out Uther, who is likely to be the Cocoon target very quickly with the Disintegrate. And maybe it is that if you get Disintegrate, then you don't have Wave of Force for Moshpit, but it does seem like ETC being picked up in this double warrior lends more towards stage dive to make sure that Fnatic can keep up with the global pressure that Tempo Storm were just completely dictating throughout the draft.
That's a really good point that you bring up. Like, forcing the Disintegrate might be the argument of, well, then that lack of Wave of Force here for the ETC. Maybe force rather an adaptation into an isolation than force somebody, because you never want to have only one interrupt.
Exactly.
If you only have one, then it's like, well, we're going to stun the Murden. He's got two ways to stop that. You know he's got to be stuck in that little dance party what he's going to be putting on later. But we have the opportunity to go into a stage dive as well. You know, I do think that there is a bit of an argument for both, but I think ultimately I would like to see them go with that mosh pit.
We'll see if Wubby feels comfortable playing the mosh pit. He is the one playing ETC here. June and Som under a bit of harassment as Breeze comes in for the body block, but a heads up stun from June makes sure that he can keep himself and Som safe here, and they've done quite a lot of damage to the structures for Fnatic.
Both teams looking like they're going to play the Cursed Hollow minigame here, backing out, picking up their Giants, and it's just really who is going to luck out, come out on top with this tribute spawn. The biggest advantage here will go over to Tempo Storm no matter where it spawns, just by the fact that they have the only global in this game, but it's not that much unless obviously we see the tribute spawn to the bottom half of the map. Then Fnatic might be sweating a smidge here over the first tribute.
Yeah, because they have taken so much structural damage there at the bottom already, and giving up an early fort like that, being able to take a fort without even a curse this early in the game makes things like invading for a boss all the scarier for Fnatic if Tempo Storm wants to go in for the early boss. We know that Tempo Storm has played here and there in different maps going for early boss camps. We'll have to see if that's a thing here. They don't have something like a Hungering Arrow Vala, but they do have a Greymane that is expecting that Eyes of the Dark.
Yeah, going for that Eyes in the Dark. I'm expecting a very aggressive positioning then left and right there. Coming out from, who do we have there? Cotton Luck on that Greymane. Tribute spawning, though, up into the top lane. Members of Fnatic, it looks like Schwimpy is going to be able to get this channel essentially for free as the rest of Tempo Storm defending these bottom Giants.
Yeah, Tempo Storm is all about the early pressure that may come back to bite them, giving up a tribute. But in this case, because they have kept Murden in the mid and Dahaka is staying strong in the top lane, they're pressing forward here.
This is a very different decision-making from Tempo Storm that we've seen in all of North America, all of Phase 1, Part 1. To here. This is them identifying the lack of wave clear and rotational advantage here, the ability to clear out those Giants. Wait a minute, punishment out from Fnatic. Breeze goes in, no Impale follow-up immediately afterwards. Nice stun coming out from Fury, gonna make sure Schwimpy can't go there and clean things up.
Yeah, great anchoring from Fury, and this is not the first time that you and I have felt like this series as a whole different Tempo Storm, a Tempo Storm that has finally shred the cocoon of not doing well at international events. They're up one game over Fnatic. They made plays like ignoring a kill on Wubby to make sure that they could stay alive from the clone, and that really paid dividends for them because they are up one in this best of three. But now the positioning of this tribute not exactly ideal for Tempo Storm.
Yeah, the three-man impale for Breeze is really the thing that's going to seal the deal. So Tempo Storm is now facing what is a curse point. But again, we need to highlight the fact that they are one of the only globals. They have the only global on the map. And whenever you have a global advantage during the curse point, traditionally, you know, you can stop a lot of the experience struggle. Fury caught out.
Wanted to go and catch, doesn't have Avatar yet, but does dwarf cross over. Stormbolt on ETC, Som throwing out everything that he possibly can. He's still staying alive, but finally he'll fall. Fnatic claims first blood.
Nice sidestep there from Fury, but it's too little, too late. Tempo Storm trying to capitalize, sending the Greymane over to pick up that Night Camp. Tempo Storm has stuck to a very traditional early game here when looking at Cursed Hollow. Just opening with the early game Giants, looking for a mid-tier Knights as we see Fnatic essentially just mirroring moments behind the members of Tempo Storm. But Tempo, they've just been too late onto the tributes. Fnatic is getting all the same things, obviously other than the bottom four, without sacrificing themselves those tributes. So we'll see if that curse is really going to swing the momentum here for Fnatic.
Yeah, depends on where this next tribute ends up spawning, what Tempo Storm can do with that. It will be slightly on their side, given that we already saw the one be on Fnatic's side of the last time, but it is still one that Fnatic could fight over. The anchor's here, but Breeze, he is a seasoned veteran warrior player. He knows the anchoring will be there, but this is a still good setup for Tempo Storm.
The members of Fnatic are actually transitioning interestingly. I thought they were going to maybe backdoor a boss, look for a gank, but in the end, it looks like the members of Fnatic here are just comfortable giving that up. I understood the tribute sacrifice, but no other member was looking for a counterplay elsewhere. A bit of, uncharacteristic play here from the members of Fnatic.
Yeah, it seems like Fnatic are still trying to figure out how they get that beautiful macro game setup that they are known for. Where is the place where they can get a couple of different places pushing? Where can they get a mercenary camp that they force someone to defend and then jump on that person, get the pick, and then get the tribute that gives them the curse? Then they get boss control after that. It's all set up there for Fnatic. They know where they want to take this game. It's just a matter of finding the right point that they can press and abuse Tempo Storm on.
See if we do end up getting Wubby to move into that mosh pit as we heroics coming online for both teams. Cursed Bullet still the choice for Tempo Storm, but Wave of Force Disintegrate, we are yet to know. This is one of my favorite things to be able to see international stages. Oh, we do see the Wubby committing Doe to the stage dive.
And a Locust Swarm.
Wow, unique here. So Locust Swarm, more survivability, a lot more damage. As we've seen, Locust Swarm was meta way, way, way long ago, but it is not nearly as high of damage as that was in that point in time, nor is it the level of survivability. But it's going to allow at least the backliners, members of Tempo Storm, they have to be really afraid of Karazim and Anubarak.
Yeah, there is so much dive right there between the Locust Swarm, Karazim, Genji, and even a stage dive.
Li Ming legitimately cannot hold her own into that 1 versus 1 whenever you have the Locust Swarm going. Greymane, yes, he can a smidge, but he typically is going to have to disengage on out here.
ETC's not here, but this is the point where he could stage dive. Caterpillar has already shown his head, goes for a drag, doesn't catch him. Schwimpy will go for the stage dive, jumping on top. It's going to split apart. Tempo Storm Psalm is in so much danger right now. Gets the miracle Divine Shield, but Schwimpy is still hacking and slashing away.
Breeze is able to keep himself up, and Quackdix gets reset 1, gets reset 2. Nice job there with Schwimpy dropping the 7-sided strike, and Tempo Storm lose themselves 4 members and a curse quick to follow up.
Oh man, that is a lot of damage that happened really fast on the members of Tempo Storm. To lose 4 people here is detrimental to Tempo Storm's success in this game because Fnatic are holding off on the tribute so that they can make sure and get a boss to push along with it. This is going to be a scary push.
This is absolutely astounding. How big of a momentum lead to Fnatic is going to be able to achieve after this brilliant fight. But the Divine Shield on the Psalm, last possible second there, coming up from Quacknix. And look at Breeze, holding his own on the front line, doing way too much damage, prepping everything there for Quacknix and Schwimpy, cleaning things right up.
Yeah, what was cool is the communication there, knowing that Quacknix didn't want to necessarily dive on over, but that Schwimpy could go through there because of the invulnerability that you get from 7-sided strike. He felt confident to go in and clean up Psalm after the Divine Shield was down. And now, speaking of cleanup, that's Tempo Storm's job because they've got a lot to do during this curse of Fnatic.
Yeah, they're going to be wishing they had a smidge more wave clear than they actually do within their composition right now because Fnatic is painting this thing blue, even aggressing past this mid-tier fort. Going to force the members of Tempo Storm back a little bit longer. And sadly here, we look at the curse point. The members of Tempo Storm, they have 25 seconds that they're just going to lose structure after structure, and likely Fnatic to be able to take a step back, pick themselves up a boss immediately after. And all it took was one team fight. And Fnatic does what they do best, make this game so very much into their favor. Now it looks like Tempo Storm, what are you going to do to make this comeback?
Yeah, there was a likelihood that Fnatic got a curse, but to lose 4 people to defend at the onset of that curse and then hold off to make sure that you get the boss, you can just see it is catastrophic now for Tempo Storm that they lose nearly 3/4. Fnatic though, Fnatic are feeling good. This is the momentum swing they desperately needed in this series. They go in, they get another boss, and now they can push on.
So Gilly, I've got to ask here. We've noted Tempo Storm playing very different than what we traditionally expected from them. This is a moment where normally they would sacrifice this keep. They would let their opponent take everything and just kind of accept what is going to be the future rather than diving past, trying to force a fight. Will we see Tempo Storm innovate once again here with their gameplay and not let Fnatic get the 16 talent to your boss and keep, like, you know, they are confident that they're going to be able to claim for their own.
Yeah, this really does feel like the only point left for Tempo Storm to get in at the lead that Fnatic have. Fnatic are knocking on the door, breaking it down of Tempo Storm to try to get the first keep of the game and open up a way for them to win the game.
The brush stock, they're going to try and get this force. Cattle looking or sharking around, trying to find himself a hook. Breeze takes a bit of damage, end up dropping the Locust Swarm, a cooldown that they're going to what? Wobby goes in with the 2-man power slide, forces the Avatar, but no one getting a kill quite yet.
Cattle's just looking to find where he can drag someone in, but it is avoided by Breeze. Stage dive behind the members of Tempo Storm. Fnatic are looking to get aggressive. An immediate Divine Shield Force trying to let Kotham get some damage in.
Seven-sided. Schwimpy's able to get the dash right on out, but Fnatic unable to claim that keep for themselves, but 16 is just around the corner. I'm surprised to see Fnatic actually not take this experience wave, just push out that full keep as it is so very low. But they have other plans here, looking to pressure out the map, understandably so, as we know Trivia's about to round out here soon.
Yeah, Fnatic are such a disciplined team, and they know that it's their game to lose at this point. All they have to do is find a spot, maybe send in Quagnix's Genji, somebody so that they can take down a keep and start getting the catapult pressure going. But it's about the bigger picture, and that bigger picture is the 16 talent tier. They've got a 3-level lead over Tempo Storm. This is working out for Fnatic.
It's looking very, very clean here. Just, again, that one team fight after the rotations here of Tempo, you could see the thought process. It was brilliant on the side of Tempo Storm to take that high risk 2 tribute sacrifice. But when you lose the fight 4 for nothing on the 3rd tribute, it's a little bit too much for them to be able to handle here as we see another tribute coming online without the 16 talents here. The members of Tempo Storm cannot even make the transition out, and Fnatic's capitalizing. They're going to be able to take this bottom keep while sending somebody up to the tribute. ETC has the stage dive in case, you know, things get a bit shaky here.
Ooh, that's a power play for Fnatic for sure, but they still see Tempo Storm here, and Tempo Storm is posturing at least, not going to give it for easy for Fnatic for free. There is the tribute collected by ETC.
Very interesting to see the patience here from Fnatic. The bait goes out. Fury bites off a little bit there, but it's only a cursed bullet. 30-second cooldown, nothing to worry about.
Sprays flying in this tense moment. Fnatic again regroups. They have ETC in the top. The Haka there too, hoping to get Tempo Storm 16, but it is so far away.
You know the stage dive's going to come in here, and the brush talk has to happen in that giant shrub. It's the closest brush for Cattle to make a move. So if Fnatic is successful with the initiation and dives past the keep, I just feel like Cattle's brush talk is not equal to a stage dive in this type of situation, but we're about to find out.
Yeah, it's not exactly the best spot for them, but Tempo Storm will make the most if they can, and they're continuing to sit right in front of the fort so that if Cattle does join them, it is still something that he can do for the team. But Tempo Storm really are hoping that Fnatic don't force that to happen because Caterpillar is the only thing who is soaking up, allowing Tempo Storm to get closer to 16.
Stage dive.
The switch has been flipped.
They're going to move in. Schwimpy throwing out way of 100 fists, getting the damage. There's Cattle. Is he going to go forward? The drag, he goes. Isolation
Fury
drops, 7-sided, gets Fury in a terrible position, draws that Divine Shield.
Yeah, he has the Avatar. Fury's just taken out. Quagnix takes him down, and Murden is out of this fight, and Fnatic looking to draw blood on Tempo Storm. They catch Caterpillar and slice him down with the Dragon Blade.
Once again, Fnatic just pulls the trigger and blows up the members of Tempo Storm. June gets knocked back. He's going to go into ghost form, throwing out a couple of heals here, but Fnatic does not care. They are looking here towards this core.
This is a clean game for Fnatic. If they can finish it out here, only Psalm and Greymane. And Greymane's just about to go down too. So does Psalm. Tempo Storm has been wiped clean. Fnatic take out Tempo, and they will take game 2.
Fnatic drops game number 1, but you could tell they were upset, bringing out such brilliant play there in that last game. 10-0, a 13-minute and 50-second Cursed Hollow game. Tempo Storm, they had to feel good after game 1, but after what we just witnessed there in game number 2, I have no idea how, where they're going to be going here for game 3.
But we have to remember that Fnatic, after losing, chose Battleground choice, and this is their comfort zone. This is home for them, Cursed Hollow. And even though Tempo Storm tried to control the globals, Fnatic proved that their macro game is so strong that they don't even have to have a global. They didn't get one until 10, and they still control the board every step of the way.
It was amazing play there, but either way, we need to send it over to our analysts and figure out, what actually went down there in that game.
Seems like Tempo Storm rattled the beast here in game number 2, made them a bit angry, and they came back in a very strong showing there in the second game.
Rattled the beef?
Rattled the beast.
Oh,
the beast.
I was like, I
I'm
had
not
like a
about
mental
ETC.
I was in a mental image where they're like walking around in the slaughterhouse and like beef hanging, and they're like, it was a weird expression. I was about to add it to my vocabulary.
Yeah,
Not that one.
grab some
Rattle
corn
the
hash,
beef.
shake it a little bit.
So it's like shaking the cage in which there's a lion, right?
He's a weird guy.
Makes a lot more sense.
They did actually, though, rattle the beast, though, because we all thought it was Cocoon. They say, look, our composition's quirky, it's different. We had no faith. We thought it was a Genji solo DPS as the carry. They say, no, it's Locust Swarm. We're going to bring it back real old school. We're going to go dive. We're going to look for those kills, and they made it work.
Yeah, the Dragon Blades were so powerful because the only real peel that Tempo Storm had was the Muradin, which was constantly being under threat by Stage Dive, which is another flex pick that removed the weakness of the lack of globals for the team. So we're seeing these Stage Dives, forcing the Muradin out of position, 7-side strike, getting that extra damage. Really well played with these heroic adaptations.
I liked Fnatic's draft, but I didn't expect the double damage heroics, and that was a big part of how Genji was able to find his mark more easily. I don't have a replay this time because I think it was pretty self-explanatory, but that's the hallmark of a really good draft, execution, and heroic choice. Nicely played by Fnatic.
Very powerful there in game number 2. We're going to go to a short break here at the HGC 2017 finals. When we return, game 3 between Fnatic and Tempo Storm.
The 2017 Heroes Global Championship Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA. The eternal conflict has shaped the destinies of mortal and immortal alike. But perhaps none more than Malthael, the former Archangel of Wisdom. With the Primeval's defeat, humanity, being born of both angels and demons, became one of the last vestiges of demonic power. Using their souls as strength, Malthael became the aspect of death and vowed to eliminate demonic corruption wherever it took root, even within the Nexus. Malthael is a deadly melee assassin who shreds apart high-health foes by branding them with the Reaper's Mark. Each swing of Malthael's sickle applies Reaper's Mark to his enemy. Marked foes are automatically revealed and take damage over time. The damage is based on the target's maximum health, so the higher health they have, the more damage it deals. His Q ability, Soul Rip, only becomes available when Reaper's Mark is active on at least one target. When cast, Malthael drains the souls of nearby enemies, dealing damage and healing himself for a set amount. Ripping the soul of a hero also heals him by a percentage of his target's maximum health. Malthael's second ability, Wraith Strike, also can only be used when Reaper's Mark is active. In a flash, the Archangel of Death teleports through his enemy, dealing damage and refreshing his Reaper's Mark. Wraith Strike can be used from a distance as both a way to chase down enemies or as a clever form of escape. Malthael's final basic ability is Death Shroud. With a thrash of his wings, Malthael lets loose a wave of deathly energy that applies Reaper's Mark to any foe it contacts. Death Shroud moves slowly, so aim carefully or fire from a hidden location. Malthael's first heroic is Tormented Souls. When activated, Malthael gains a chunk of armor and emits a torrent of souls that continually apply Reaper's Mark to enemies near him, allowing him to make liberal use of his basic abilities. Looking for a way to assert yourself as the true aspect of death? Last Rites may be more your style. When cast, Last Rites acts as a death sentence, and after a couple of seconds deals a large amount of damage to an enemy. The total damage done is equal to half of the target's missing health and ignores armor entirely. Additionally, this is our first questing heroic in Heroes of the Storm. For every hero Malthael kills with Last Rites, its cooldown is permanently reduced until it reaches the minimum of 15 seconds. Malthael's Reaper's Mark is everything. Spread your mark to deal damage quickly. Your marks can be a mobility tool with clever use of Wraith Strike, or just a way to stay alive when comboed with Soul Rip. While drafting, consider the fact that Malthael excels against frontline bruisers and tanks like Thrall, Sonya, and Arthas. Make sure to watch out for high mobility heroes like Vala and Tracer that can poke from a distance and shut down your marks. At level 1, Malthael can choose between 3 mobility talents. Consider how you can min-max these options to fit your playstyle and your team composition. Once the Black Harvest quest talent at level 4 completes, it permanently increases how long your Reaper's marks last. Even just a couple more seconds opens up a lot of flexibility for Malthael to make some powerful plays. Lastly, Malthael can pick up the No One Can Stop Death talent at level 20. After being the victim of a takedown, activate this talent to instantly revive at the Hall of Storms. With Malthael's arrival, death itself has descended upon the Nexus, and this time, no one will stop him.
Terrible fate has befallen this world. Evil runs rampant, uncontested. I can stand by no longer. Die, Hellspawn! Crawl back to the pit from whence you came. I am the Archangel Tyrael, and I will defend this realm from all who would defile it. For I am justice itself.
Welcome back to the HGC here as we continue down this path of this best of 3 series. And 1-1 at the moment here between the reigning world champions Fnatic and Tempo Storm, arguably the challenger in this series, but they brought out a fantastic game number 1 against Fnatic. I'm joined by Grubby, we have Wolf, we have Skimmy here to round out this series in the end, because whichever way it goes, I think we never really expected to be in a... I'll be honest, I came in like, 2-0, let's go to the next round.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. This is all to play for.
And now Tempo Storm needs to make a very tough decision. They need to either decide we have come here to play our own play, which is standard solid and will defeat Fnatic through a smart draft and good play, or if they feel a little bit more, oh, we need to do something special. I think they have 2 powerful choices. They can go to Tomb of the Spider Queen, which for me would say, Psalm, our hero, on Kerrigan, on Kel'Thuzad, will reign supreme and will triumph for us, or we can see them go to Brax's Holdout if they pick that map, and that would resemble the choice of we're not confident we can take them straight on.
Yeah, let's compare the support players that we do have from either of these teams, of course, with SMX going up against someone like June. SMX is a guy that stands out a lot on the roster. June kind of, sits in the back, does what he needs to do. What do you think about how these two stack up when it comes to the stats that we have here from the HGC finals?
I feel like Smex has always been a more aggressive support player who somehow manages to survive more too. I feel like June can get caught many times, not out of his own fault, but because of over-aggressive play from Tempo Storm. So he plays his own defensive style to try to keep everybody healed up, but when his team goes too aggressive out of his range there, sometimes he gets caught. As I think it sounds like an oversimplification of those 2 support players, but Smex has always been the more storied player in terms of international events.
Our battleground is ready to go for game number 3, so let's find out where we're heading. And it will be Tomb of the Spider Queen, chosen by Tempo Storm.
That's the point I wanted to bring up before with Grubby. As a result of what you're saying, do you go for the standard, the style of execution? Are you here to play? Are you here to try and bring that cheese style that we've seen in the likes of Brax's Holdout? From game number 2 on Cursed Law, I think that the drafts were pretty balanced for the most most part. I feel like Tempo Storm had a draft which could have netted the win. It just came down to a mechanical difference, so to speak. Fnatic have that A-class, that World Championship flair about them.
All right, it's time. Game number 3. Europe goes up against North America. We didn't think we'd get here, but Tempo Storm and Fnatic have pushed us all the way to the brink. Let's get into it.
I feel like in the first 2 games, we saw defensive drafting out of Tempo Storm. We saw them ban away the Lure, not allowing that to be there with the Abathur, pulling in the Medivh to try to counter that composition. Game number 2, drafted against Globals, remove the Brightwing, remove the Falstad, pick up the Dahaka early. And I think, as Grubby says, this time they're taking this into their own hands in terms of kind of mechanical skill, how well they play on the map with their specific hero picks. Medivh's taken from them.
That's a high priority.
So the cool thing is, I totally expected Tempo to either go for one of these 2 maps. They go for Tomb, which shows a kind of confidence, and we'll do our meta, and we'll do our Psalm on our cool hero, Kerrigan, Kel'Thuzad. Medivh counters both of those.
Yes.
They're both about blow-up comps, one at the melee, one at the range. And another cool pick that Psalm has been doing is Medivh.
Yep.
This one shuts down 3 options of Tempo Storm right away. So now it cannot be about early pickoffs, mid-game pickoffs. Now Tempo has to win rotationally and team fight-wise.
Yeah.
And so with that, Fnatic really upped the stakes here for Tempo.
Smart move. Garrosh and Sonya are going to be the response, though.
Now, Garrosh, what we saw in game number 1 was completely different than I think what we're going to see here. Obviously, Garrosh, his Warlord's challenge, bringing everybody into the polybombs, not an option here, but can be strong against it can be defensive against strong dive assassins that pair well with Medivh, for example. So I think it's a safe pick overall.
But Medivh overall is very good against someone like Garrosh.
Yes, you take Medivh to counter Garrosh.
Yes.
I said 3 options were shut down. It's kind of like 4.
Right.
They still go the Garrosh route. But who do you need when Garrosh flips someone over his shoulders? You need a Force of Will and a portal. Medivh is already there. So let's see if Tempo Storm can deconstruct that. But so far, very smart by Fnatic.
This is also a very, very strong map for Stitches. Obviously, you have your structures up for a long time through the early to early mid-game. And I think that this is a pick that we're not going to see in this rotation necessarily, but this is something that Tempo Storm will absolutely have to respect. Your Garrosh gets pulled, sure, he gets a lot of armor, but if he's over the wall, you're in big trouble.
I like the idea that you're actually considering that, because you can see from what Tempo Storm have so far between this Garrosh and Sonya, they want to try and dictate that rotation from mid to top, mid to top. They're saying, look,
instant.
Wolf.
There, I mean, there it is.
I mean, it will not come to be.
Not going to happen. I mean, especially when you have the Malfurion coming through here as well. You just deposit right on with your Gorge right onto the root, or you just follow up the hook with the root. So it seemed so obvious to Tempo Storm, and they were moving away.
That makes sense. They already have 2 warriors. They banned one to begin with. Then the Stitches threat. Overall, big warrior prioritization by Tempo. Now, I don't want to see them go to triple warrior. If you do that, you have a tough time dealing with Medivh because your damage output is too low. Just in case you were thinking anything fancy like, oh, how about I take all the warriors? There are none left for Fnatic. That's probably not viable.
I actually don't really personally like the Genji ban because you already have protection against burst. I'd rather see something like a Vala ban, to be honest, for more sustained damage against the shielding. If they ban the Uther here, for example, you could just see Vala Ariel picked up from Tempo Storm. It goes against their playstyle in a lot of ways, and you wouldn't expect them to necessarily pick it on this map, but we forget about the Vala Ariel sometimes. I think it's very strong in this situation in terms of sustain and wave clear.
Exactly, the good wave clear.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what I was thinking as well. You're going to be looking to try and be that strong 4-man rotation to bounce between. The Oriole promotes that idea. When everyone's stuck around in that one unit, you're going to find infinite value. If you do go for the Vala de Lunara, which typically you pair with that Oriole, you're going to have that slow, sustained damage, potentially even a multi-shot build.
Yeah.
And you're going to be spreading that across what Medivh is forced and content with.
What do you guys think about Ariel Gul'dan? Portal invades are completely shut down by Horrify. Great energy generator. Not that much dive yet, besides that portal, which is easier to shut down with Horrify.
I think it's a very strong option in terms of CC and sustained damage. I think the Vala is, going to be safer in terms of mobility. Especially when things go wrong or you don't have Horrify. We're talking about early game. With this Tastar Rhaegar here, it does feel like we're maybe leaning towards a flex pick now for Tempo Storm to, sort of wait and see what Fnatic has in store first.
I like it. Rhaegar actually have to be picked up now. Just because he's so good on this map and in general, so good with Garrosh and Sonya. Now Fnatic, if they go for a dive comp, for example, Tyrael Genji, I really like their chances going up against Sonya Garrosh, who are bypassed a little bit more easily, and Rhaegar, who cannot save himself as much. That's why the Tassadar pick by Tempo is smart as well.
Yeah, I can see why they picked up the Tesla, because they're realizing that, well, respecting more than anything, right, what Fnatic can do with those portals, jumping into the back line, destroying Rhaegar. He can't do much. He can't cleanse himself, nor can he ancestral himself. Tesla gives you that buffer, that EHP, so to speak, as he'll be looking to try and get himself out of harm's way. Tesla obviously so elusive himself with the dimensional shift, so should necessarily be caught out by the Medivh, or what could have been otherwise with the entangling roots, but...
And Tyrael with Holy Ground or Sanct protects the portal invade so that Malf can step through and Twilight Dream.
Yeah, you have a lot of opportunity, a lot of engage with that. It's going to be going back to familiarity here with the Anubarak, though. A very strong early game pick who can do a lot of damage. Early rotations are so important on this map. You can follow up his burrow charges, his impales with those roots. You have portals to give him longer range. So I think it's a pick that goes back towards Medivh, but I think it does sacrifice a lot once we get past that stage as you go to the later game. The Malthael as well, this is not a map where you have strong solo laning as a priority.
I'm just interested now.
One more hero. Will it be the Kerrigan? Will it be the Kel'Thuzad? Because the Anubarak is kind of to stop Kel'Thuzad. Kerrigan gets countered by Medivh, but Kerrigan and Garrosh bypass the Force of Will time. There is a potential for either one of those two cool heroes here for Psalm.
I mean, you have so much CC if you do take the Kerrigan. You have the Sonya Spear. But, I mean, I'm not sold on it. I think we need range damage. They're going to do it. Oh, man. Okay.
Well, it won them a lot of games in the group stage.
And vengeance never looked this good.
I feel like, you know, this is going to be the story we talked about going as far back as that opening week. Will they show the same style as they showed in opening week? Will Fnatic be ready? This feels familiar.
It definitely does. The question that you kind of brought up at the very beginning is that, you know, Medivh is going to be able to counter a lot of that. I suppose the objective now is land 2 or 3 man combos?
Yes. So much displacement, so many stuns.
Can't heal everybody, or can't protect everybody. You know, if you hit everybody, you can just find that one target, blow them up, but there's not a lot of range damage.
Until level 16. Sure. If you don't take the reabsorption, but you take the group protect, that would be a pretty good choice, but this is so cool. Solo Assassin Kerrigan. I mean, I'm very excited about this. And let's keep in mind that although Force of Will can protect a blow-up target, it is not a cleanse. They don't take damage, they still get displaced, they still get stunned, and that means follow-up stuns are in place. There is no cleanse.
All right.
If Tempo was going to do it with any draft, this is it.
It's ready. Game number 3 on the way here. Fnatic and Tempo Storm go head-to-head. The winner will advance on to the round of 4. Let's head over to Gillian Dreadnought to bring us all the action.
When they are down and out, Tempo Storm puts all their hopes in the Queen of Blades as they bring back Kerrigan. Psalm's Kerrigan averaged 8 kills per game in the 2 games that they played, so it is a power pick for them.
And you gotta just, the amount of trust that Tempo Storm has put into Psalm in this tournament is insane. Every time their back is against the wall, they're like, you know what? You want to put on the backpack? Because we're ready to hop in, carry us to victory.
We've got the Kerrigan yet again. Let's get into it. Game 3, the final game of this best of 3 between Europe and North America, Fnatic and Tempo Storm.
Game number 2 looked very dominant here for the men in blue. Again, it is Fnatic. We have Breeze on that Anubarak, Quacknix on his Greymane, Schwimpy playing out that Medivh, Wubby's going to be on the Malthael, and last is Smexy on the Malfurion. Let's hear it for Fnatic!
The team bringing the circles of pain. They've got June playing Rhaegar, Fury on Garrosh, Cothenluck playing Tassadar. We'll have Psalm playing as Kerrigan, and finally Caterpillar on Sonya. I want to hear you shout for Tempo Storm.
There are so many amazing just interactions between the compositions that both these teams have built. I just want to bring to highlight the Garrosh-Kerrigan synergy, the ability to be able to pull them in, flip them away, hit the rock stun with the Kerrigan. It is a very, pixel-perfect style of play, but Tempo Storm here, they've shown that they are well-versed in the Kerrigan, and I just want to see what are they going to really bring here, because this is it for them.
And although Fnatic, who have Medivh, they first picked Medivh as a way of trying to counter whatever cheese or specially crafted strategy that Tempo Storm could bring in. Although they have that as a kind of counter for these pulls, the pulls can also come back to bite Fnatic for trying to take advantage of things like portals. You can pull them away from that and then get the kill before you can ever even get to the portal into safety.
And another thing to bring up when looking at the playstyle trends of Fnatic in the past and here in the composition, we see Tempo Storm picking up with that Kerrigan is Fnatic's okay with not taking fights into the early game. They're okay with giving you, mid-tier advantages here and there as long as they know the future game plan. They know where the power strike, where the power play is, where they need to strike later on. And Kerrigan compositions are terrible into that playstyle. They are the biggest weakness is the team that is not willing to face check disrupt, not willing to match up into the laning situation as we see Fnatic doing here.
There's the pull, the flip. Smexy in trouble, has the force of will with the portal and will get back. Woo! Just one of many potential scary points for Fnatic, but they get through the first.
It's actually going to be amazing. You have so much just lack of ability to control your hero, so much crowd control there for Tempo Storm, and then Fnatic, you have the Medivh plays. They amazing, back and forth between the portals. I expect legitimately every team fight to just be hectic as all hell.
Now, after 13, a pull and a flip on Malfurion may not be the best idea because he goes into Ice Block, jukes that, everyone comes in for the kill, and then he Twilight Dream silences all 5 members of Tempo Storm. So we might see some adjustment there on who ends up getting thrown into the fray of Tempo Storm.
But when it comes to the, laning situation here between the two teams, Tempo Storm has done a pretty good job of holding their own. They are unable to get a kill again because Fnatic understands the win conditions. They know that playing safe is into their best interest, but they're also appropriately mismatching lanes. This is something that is very common specifically within the Chinese region too. If you understand that you do not win the 1-4 into your opponent, why would you ever follow them into the lanes? You constantly make it a variable, make it hard for them to figure out where you're going to go, as Tempo Storm's trying to do here up on bottom. But he's going to be able to snip that right on out. And look at Fnatic biting back.
Fnatic's ready to get back in. Caterpillar spinning to win and has the root to catch him. He's starting to fall low. With one final Arcane Rift, Tempo Storm still stays strong. No first blood in this game. We are neck in neck in this best of 3. So much is on the line here. There's no double elimination bracket. The winner of this game goes on and the loser goes home.
And I have to bring to light here the Shattered Ground adjustment there for Sonya. Caterpillars on that. It's not something we see too much here and there. Rich has been willing to bust it out in certain situations, but into a Malthael laning mismatch where Sonya's going to be dominant. Hold up here. The root drop there up on top. Psalm goes for a combo. Breeze is able to get the impale there, and that is first blood over to Fnatic.
Fnatic feeling good after being able to get that first blood. But as you're talking about, the Shattered Ground is something that has been being played more and more at this tournament. What are your thoughts on that?
Whenever you have a solid laning matchup, which the Sonya into Malthael is pretty profitable post-7 for her once she gets the Poison Spear, she doesn't have to rely on just her spin to win, be able to get that wave clear. The Shattered Ground splash damage is going to put so much structural pressure onto the Malthael that it's going to force a response out of Fnatic if they ignore this lane too long.
Caterpillar in so much danger, spins through using the ability to get through, but it's not enough. As Sonya falls and Fnatic begins the siege, they have Web Weavers pushing behind them. They push this lane all the way up to the tower so they can get the most bang for their buck.
The timing on that death could not have been worse there for Tempo Storm and friends, sending Tassadar now to the bottom lane to be able to deal with Malthael. Big knock up there to flip onto Breeze. He has no escape, well, unless Schwimpy makes one for him.
Yeah, Medivh breaks the game. The Fun Police is here for Fnatic. And this is an important time with Medivh trying to stack up for his stacks. But even with that, Fnatic still want to get as much as they can get done with this. They're going to dive underneath the fort and start to go in. Fury and Psalm take so much damage with the combo.
They're going to try and turn this around, but Psalm's in a really bad spot. He gets the reset, leaps onto Breeze, but they get the kill. He's going to take that portal out. And Fnatic showing the aggression here, bringing it to what we consider an early games composition for Tempo Storm. If you're a North American fan, you've got to be scared at how this game is looking so far.
Yes, because Fnatic hasn't just been able to get a fourth. They haven't just been able to get 3 kills. We're talking about Tomb of the Spider Queen, where an opponent can be so oppressive. They can snowball the game in the blink of an eye. And it starts with the start of a game like this. They've been able to rotate down. They have 1 fort down. They're working on a second one. They're looking to try to get the second turn in after this so that they can take out all the forts, get things pushed up to the keep towers, and from there never let go of their lead.
And we have to bring back to light here when it came to the map selection. Tempo Storm was the team willing to take Fnatic here to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Not only is Europe one of the best regions in the world, probably the best region in the world when looking at Tomb, but more importantly, Fnatic's climb through the ranks and ladder of Europe started with a very brilliant strategy. I mean, it feels like they wrote the textbook on Tomb, so confidence from them. But so far, this aggressive strategy is really just being shut down so well by Fnatic.
Ooh, I'm getting scared for Tempo Storm and the way that Schwimpy was positioning, but there's not quite heroic abilities yet for Fnatic, and this is the best time for Tempo Storm to hope to get a kill and catch back up to Fnatic before things get out of control and irrecoverable for them. Not getting that, finding a position though, as Fnatic hit 10, Tempo Storm disengage.
Gilly, this is going to be, if this Webweaver phase moves over for Fnatic, pre-10 for Tempo Storm, look at their composition. There is legitimately only a Tassadar for their range. Kerrigan, yes, she's made up for it through talent adjustments to try and get a little bit of wave clear. Yeah, so has Sonya, but it is, their positioning has to be so far forward that Twilight Dream, Anubarak, Leyline Seal, I mean, just everything on the side of Fnatic is going to have an absolute heyday here.
Yeah, Fnatic's looking to paint the battleground blue with this next set of web weavers. They've got it pushed on. Either way, it's a good thing for Fnatic as they take down the tower, and they're setting up even better. They've got Malthael keeping an eye on everything from Tempo Storm. And Tempo Storm, they have people who can combo someone in. They may be able to get a combo from Garrosh on one of the members of Fnatic, but so far that just has been stopped hard from the Medivh pick of Schwimpy, and that is so brilliant drafting from Fnatic.
Tempo Storm will be able to pick up their heroics slowly but surely, but the bottom Webweaver securing the fort, top Webweaver is making a lot happen here as well for the members of Fnatic. And we have to bring to light that though Tempo Storm did have a brilliant game number 1 showing, they haven't gotten a kill since game number 1. And they have a Kerrigan composition, you know that has got to change. I'm also wondering, maybe double down on the aggression. That things are not working in this game according to plan. Maybe a leap, you know, get a little bit weird with these type of initiations. I don't want to necessarily say that everyone at home should be busting out the leap in your own games, but Tempo Storm, it seems like they need to change something up here.
You just wanted to see leap because you're casting with me, is that right?
I mean, you're right.
All right. Sadly, we don't get it. But maybe we're going to see a Force Launch, so figuring things out. No, it's Archon for Tassadar. Heroics are here, and Tempo Storm needs to go. This is the time. Fnatic are on the boss. They're not quite 13. Tempo Storm has to get something going right now.
And even if we see Tempo Storm attempt to be able to get a turn in for themselves here, it's just going to be wasted here on this top boss that Fnatic's able to pick up. They're goaltending not only one of those shrines, but they get the boss as well. Fnatic's taking everything here away from Tempo Storm.
Yeah, Tempo didn't get that turn in, which means they don't have any relief from Fnatic in the way that they're pushing. The best they can do is just get back behind their wall before Schwimpy drops more than just the sprays on top of Tempo Storm.
He's just trying to spray over top of the Tempo Storm spray there with the Fnatic spray.
Well, he pushed it even further. It's closer to the base. Therefore, this is mine now. This is the Fnatic side of the map. All of it is Fnatic side.
It's about to be in a couple of seconds here. Members of Fnatic, we see a nice pull for Fury. He does not want to go ahead and drop the toss quite yet. Boss already below 50% HP. Impale drops, Psalms at a bad spot. Wubby goes in.
Tormented Souls is out. He's going to start stepping back on top of Tempo Storm. Twilight Dream as Smexy moves through the portal, but all of Tempo Storm are safe. Importantly for Fnatic, though, they take the keep.
And they have Leyline Seal in case things get a little bit sketchy here on full retreat. I just want to bring to light the clever playmaking there for Fnatic. That was exactly what they wanted to do. Move past, zone Tempo Storm off the keep, and take the keep itself. Yes, it does cost maybe more heroics than we see into the later stages of the game, but at 9 minutes in, to be able to take that kind of keep over Tempo Storm, at this point, it feels like it's Fnatic's game to lose.
Yeah, something that I noticed a lot from Fnatic in this latest part in League play is how good they are at just kind of like puffing out their chests and seeing, can we scare away our opponents just by feigning aggression, just sending certain people out, maybe forcing a heroic here and there, just purely out of the fear of Fnatic as a team, the Colossus that they are, the mid-season Brawl champions.
Yeah, you know, to kind of bring it way back all the way to last Blizzcon, I'd say compare it to like Noblesse on Murden. He was so comfortable. He's just like, I don't have friends, I don't care. I'm going to scare you off of this point, make you think I have a whole squad sitting right behind me. And Fnatic does that perfectly here throughout this game, throughout most of the games we end up getting to see them play. June trying to drop this turn in, though, as we see Schwimpy doing what the Raven does best here. Pesty above, dropping sprays.
Yeah, he gives the vision, and then Smexy has a Loon's Grace, so he has that extra range to more safely be able to drop that down to stall out, and they get the stall because of this. Tempo Storm still so fearful of Fnatic as a team, knowing that try to keep is gone. This is really terrifying for Tempo Storm positionally, but it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better by going back and hiding in the base.
Yeah, you know, I'd like to say that I'm looking at later talent tiers and that maybe something comes online for the members of Tempo Storm, but it just doesn't. Yes, they do get stronger as the game goes on, but so do the members of Fnatic, sadly, here if you're a Tempo Storm fan. But they're doing a great job constantly keeping up this pressure as the catapults build on top. Psalm yet to move in here for a combo attempt. You go ahead. He's going to land it on top of two. Get the Maelstrom.
Maelstrom, he's ready to go. They've got the double taunt. Hits a couple, but Leyline Seal will stop the aggression for now. Psalm moves forward while Fnatic moves out of the base. They have done enough.
They've gotten the work up into the middle lane. They're going to transfer right on bottom. This is the dance, you know, the painting you were talking about, what Fnatic does so very well. It is so pretty, their transitions here, and Tempo Storm is desperate. When they hurt the 13, I would like to see them trying all in, to be honest. They have yet to really force a major team fight, and it's not like this game, again, is getting any prettier for themselves.
Yeah, Fnatic have brought down Tempo Storm to the bottom while Catapults are up in the top lane. Tempo Storm has taken damage, but 16's almost here. This is the point. This is the time before they get to the 16. Now it's the go time, and now the go time is stopped because 16 is here, but they might go anyway.
Tempo Storm, it's taking catapult damage. Tempo Storm has negative wave clear at this point, it feels like. They have no way to deal with these minions, and Fnatic is putting them into that lose-lose scenario they do over and over again. Tempo seems fed up, though. They're going in.
The time is up. The time is now. Psalm and Fury go in on top of Fnatic. They've got Wubby, though, with Tormented Souls, and Kerrigan is blown up.
They get themselves Kerrigan. They find the Sonya immediately after 87% exists onto the core. But Fnatic, they're not going to aggress over quite yet. Lock down the bottom keep, and now it seems like they are done. They are ready to send Tempo Storm back home.
They're sending him packing. The core is falling. Fnatic struggled in game one. They lost to North America. But despite their best efforts, Tempo Storm just doesn't have the defense here versus Fnatic. We're down to 20% and continuing to fall as Fnatic takes out Tempo Storm.
Fnatic showing why they are one of the best teams, why they are your reigning champions. Game number one, things get a little bit weird for them. Maybe show signs of struggle, but then they just take a minute, recollect themselves and go, boys, I mean, we know how to play this game. We know what we're doing here. Confidence displayed on Tempo Storm, not even letting them get a kill through all of game number 2, nor game number 3.
Yeah, the biggest thing for Fnatic is to take that mental fortitude. Yes, a best of 3 is terrifying. We've heard about it so many times. But Fnatic knows they are the stronger team. They have been at the top of their region, at the top of the world for so long. They are one of the top contenders to be able to win the whole entire HGC finals. So being able to bring them back together, to have that rally cry, no doubtedly it was from Quacknix as their captain. That was a huge point for Fnatic and shows that they can continue on throughout this event.
But also on the other side of the coin here, Tempo Storm, they are going home, but you know that they have got to be proud of this performance, having some of the greatest performance they have ever had at a global stage, not only for just them as a roster, but for North America as a whole. The backing was here, but in the end, we know Fnatic, they do what they do best, win the video game.
Yeah, Fnatic will go on to the semifinals, and they will face the winner of the next match, which I'm so excited for because it's Ballistics versus Roll20. But for now, Fnatic get to take a breath, regroup, and watch the game, see who they'll be facing, and make their strategies.
I think it's going to be, no matter who ends up facing Fnatic, just the name alone is going to be enough to kind of deter and scare them on out. Sadly, we find ourselves with only one North American team remaining, but I still am just so very impressed with Fnatic. I honestly was very scared after that first game. With this kind of crowd, with this kind of hype, you heard the USA chants. Were they going to be able to deal with that? And it seems like it was very easy for them to just go, no, not that big of a deal. And that truly is the mentality there of a champion kind of being displayed.
Well, let's go check in with Kevin now and see what the mentality is from Fnatic.
Thank you so much, JC. That's right. I'm here with Quacknix from Team Fnatic. Congratulations on what was probably a little harder fought match than you expected. Take me back to game 1 there after that loss. What was going through your minds heading into game 2? How did you recompose, and what was your strategy taking on the next game?
So after game 1, which they obviously won, it was a bit upsetting, but not too much to worry about. They had a really good game plan going into that match. They got exactly what they wanted, and we kind of fell into a trap in the draft. So it was just straight up them out-drafting us and outplaying us on the map. And then after that, we just try to hype each other up. It's no point in being upset. So
just prepare our next games and try to get what we wanted, and making sure we don't like fall in a trap or get like cheesed.
Sure. Well, I got a two-part question for you. Hope you're ready for it. As the reigning world champions coming out of the mid-season brawl, is there a lot of pressure on your shoulders to perform here at BlizzCon? And how do you, as a team, continue to strengthen your mentality and to improve your game over your opponents?
I mean, obviously, it's a lot of pressure. We have higher expectations on ourselves, as well as the fans have higher expectations on us. But we really just try to not see ourselves as the world champions, and we just, you know, go in here with a good mentality, saying that we should not underestimate anybody and just, you know, play our game, and hopefully it's enough.
All right, so you have the evening off. You can take some rest and get ready for tomorrow. But I want to ask you, what is it like to be back on the BlizzCon stage in front of this incredible crowd? What does this mean to Team Fnatic?
It feels amazing. It's the best feeling ever to look out in an ocean of people like this. Everybody's cheering for us. Everybody's cheering for Heroes Esport. And yeah, I'm just super glad to be back.
Well, congratulations, Quacknix. Good luck tomorrow. I can't wait to see you. All the best. All right. Team Fnatic takes another win. Fantastic games. Let's head over to Kalaris for more information.
That's right, a valiant effort from Team Tempo Storm, even I should say, as they tried to battle against the world champion. It almost went their way, but in the end, they rattled the beast, or beef, if he were having his way. And in the end, it was difficult going into that second game and the third game. They were really upset, and they were pounding hard.
Yeah, Fnatic didn't give away any kills over 2 different maps.
Yeah.
And so they really brought the pain train to Tempo. And yet, I don't think this was a complete defeat here for Tempo Storm. Top 8, first of all, good, you know, pretty good result for them. And moreover, how they looked in Game 1 against Fnatic. To take a map, this kind of team, they said it themselves, they were here at BlizzCon, same lineup 1 year ago, and now here they are, taking a map of the 2-times champion of the last 2 tournaments.
Yeah.
So I think Tempo, they showed a lot of improvement, and they can continue to build on that. And now with this, I think they can dare to hope more.
Yeah, I think this is definitely going to be a confidence booster for Fnatic that had such a struggle dropping. I know it's just 1 map, but it felt like a struggle through the opening group stage, dropped the first map in this series. So confidence definitely regained with that crowd. And I think it does speak to having additional strategies, having that adaptability, not having a one-dimensional playstyle, as Tempo Storm, I feel, showed there in that final draft only, right? I'm not going to say it's a one-dimensional draft along 3 games, but going back to the draft, they showed us the most in opening week. I think ended up being their Achilles heel.
So far, Skimmy, I mean, we've seen 2 teams now take a map off of Fnatic throughout this tournament from North America. It seems like North America is progressively getting a lot better as time has gone on.
I mean, absolutely. They really showed signs of life there with a composition which I wouldn't describe as cheese in game number 1, more so as a collection of, like, we've tried this out. This actually is a really innately good synergy to work together. They baited Fnatic, as Quacknix described during the draft, into a bit of a trap, and then it just came down to execution at that stage, which was fantastic. It kind of loops into our point going into game number 3. What was their plan as Tempo Storm? Were they looking to bring the pain, looking to bring their own style of play? Tomb of the Spider Queen was the answer. The only thing that really paralyzed me during that draft, hence why I was so quiet, was just like they go for Kerrigan. They're banking their success in this tournament on a Kerrigan pick. Different situation, different circumstances. You're using a Tessida instead of a Malfurion to act as that sort of ranged damage in that situation. But if you don't snowball ahead in the early game, you find yourself very, very weak. You can't contest bosses. You can't contest hand-ins.
Yeah.
You're really forced to stand back. And plus that, if they do siege you, you can't really defend the siege either.
Essentially, yeah, like you said, essentially, after level 9, the game was over, pretty much. I accepted Fnatic, completely messes up. The cracks actually started appearing in Tempo Storm's armor from their very first ban. They had in their mind Kerrigan possibility, Kel'Thuzad possibility. That first ban was ETC, should have been Medivh, with hindsight. As soon as Medivh came out, a masterful stroke of Fnatic, that entire line of strategies was shut down.
Yeah.
And we needed Tempo to reach into their Mary Poppins bag and to summon something else out of that. And it just wasn't there, at least not fast enough. Give them a day, they'll think about something.
Yeah.
Give them 45 seconds, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I mean, the lack of wave clear, the lack of range damage and defending, it was just objective after objective. Webweaver's boss is marching down. We were talking about it here on the desk. How can they stop this boss when there's so much disengaged? There's the Medivh, there's Malfurion's Twilight Dream coming in against you, Leyline Seal. Like, how can you fight the boss? If you lose the boss, you have no way of defending it. It was, as we've been saying here on the desk, had to be a snowball game as it was in the past, and it was not.
All right, well, and that is Fnatic advancing on into the round of 4. Before we go on to our next series, of course, though, you can check out the Oracle series on all the Heroes Esports social channels. But, of course, we do have a reveal for you here in episode 5 of Oracle. They've all been fantastic. Enjoy.